I often consider resolution a bit like outer space. We see it every day, but many people haven't done exploring there. I'm going to take a look at 3 images that simply have their resolution changed and no compression settings. They're saved in pure PSD or Photoshop format. If I double-click this 72 pixel per inch image, that's ideal for on-screen only, web and mobile devices. If I double-click this image at 150 pixels per inch, that should be perfect for laser or inkjet printing. Anything between 150 and 225 ppi, pixels per inch, which you may also hear called DPI, which stands for dots per inch. Ultimately, they're the same thing, but being a Photoshop teacher, I specify that pixels are square and dots are round. So often dots per inch is referring to your output device, while pixels is referring to a scan, software, or a digital camera shot. Now I'm going to open the 3rd version of this image at the highest resolution, 240 pixels per inch, actually what the camera captured. And I'll double-click on Mini Bridge to collapse it. Now you may notice the zoom level here is 12.5%. On the 150 ppi image, it's 16%. And on the 72 ppi image, it is 33%. But you may say, they all look pretty close in Photoshop. There's just a slight difference. If I check image and image size, this image is 14 by 10. I'll click here and choose image size, 14 by 10. And finally, 14 by 10. All 3 have the exact same printable width and height. Photoshop never actually shows you your printable dimensions. For higher resolution images, they will appear closer and you could zoom in further. For lower res images, they will appear smaller, meaning I'm only zoomed to 33%, and you can't zoom in as far. Let's compare them side by side. I'll close the middle one for illustration purposes, so I have the lowest res, web and mobile, and a higher res, which is ideal for high-end print, but typically in the high-end print world, they want somewhere around 300 pixels per inch. I'll choose Window, Arrange, and Tile horizontally. There you can see them side by side. I'll go to my magnifying glass tool, and I'll simply click and drag up until the little girl's eyes are in view. I'll do the same here. Click and drag up. If your click and drag up doesn't work, simply do single clicks. I have an accelerated video card, so my zoom is working the scrubby zoom. To click and drag down to zoom out, click and drag up to zoom in. You can just do single clicks if you don't have an accelerated video card. But as I click to zoom in, you'll clearly notice a quality difference in the 2 images. I'll use my spacebar to bring this back into view. And this high res is clearly different once you start zooming in than the low res version. Now let's compare compression techniques. If I close these 2 and I open up a separate group of images where I started playing with the compression ratio settings, here I saved the original camera image to a JPEG file with maximum quality. Then I took it down to medium. Then I took it down to low, all at the exact same resolution. Now I'll come over and double-click on Mini Bridge to collapse it. I'll also hit Shift-Tab on my keyboard to minimize the panels on the right. They're only hidden. They're still there. Shift-Tab hides them or shows them. And I'll choose Window, Arrange, 3 up, the N up, meaning 1 up, 2 up, 3 up, however many images you have open, viewed at once on the screen, will let you do horizontal or vertical. I'm going to do vertical because I have a little bit more room, and I'm still on my magnifying glass tool. and I'll click and drag to zoom in, again to an eye. I'll hold down my space bar to bring it into view. And Photoshop has a very cool feature. Window, Arrange, Match All, so that the other two get the exact same zoom and location. Now with these three images, all I did was take the same starting file, the Photoshop, save it as JPEG with the compression at 12 or maximum. Then I changed it to medium. Then I changed it to low, which is all the way down at 3. The width and height and image size is identical on all of these images. And actually the resolution number is identical. But JPEG is a lossy compression. When it saves, every time it saves, it permanently trashes detail or data. You could see the image got a little bit worse here for the medium compression, and far worse, I lost a lot of tones. The baby seems to get paler as I go down. I also introduce a lot of JPEG compression noise or patterns in the image. If I zoom in very far, I can see that, and I can go back to Window, Arrange, Match All to view the same spots, and you're not getting those problems. But let's take a look at how this affects file size also. When I minimize, you'll notice the first 3 uncompressed images that only had resolution changes. 14 megs, 6 megs, 1.7 megs, or 1700K. If I start getting into the 3 we were looking at, with JPEG compression, my file went from 14 megs down to 2.7. Now, when I started lowering the quality of the image by doing more compression using the medium setting, I'm down to 349K, and then to low at 328. A lot of people don't know that their images have been baked or cooked a few times or resaved as JPEGs. So they may think they've got a 150 pixel per inch image at maximum quality, and it's better than something at 240 pixels per inch at low quality. That's not necessarily the case. If you look at them side by side, I'll close these two and choose Window, Arrange, 2 up vertical, and Window, Arrange, Match All, so we get to the same spot. The quality is going to suffer because the image has been saved over and over and over again. Also, you'll notice I had to zoom back in. When there's a resolution change, Photoshop is not going to match zoom level for zoom level. So you need to know where your images are born if they're being recompressed over and over again. If I look at the smallest one of all of these after it's been saved and saved and saved, it's like a copy of a copy of a copy. And without even zooming in at all, I can see Window, Arrange, 2 up vertical, and I'll just fit this one in Window by hitting Command 0 or Control 0. Even the low quality 150 pixel per inch image looks far better than that one. You're starting to get dithering or patterning in the file. I left you all of my original images and the saved down versions so you could look at them and compare the size and quality for yourself. But it is very important, if you're working with high quality output, to always ask for the original scan or the original digital camera shot so that you know 4 or 5 people haven't opened it up and resaved it applying different JPEG compression. Because every time you save as a JPEG, your file gets smaller, but you permanently lose data that you can no longer get back. So to review the numbers, just so we finish on a good note, all web images and most mobile device images need only be 72 pixels per inch. For laser or inkjet printing, 150 pixels per inch is sufficient. And for high-end printing, things that are going to a printing press or magazine quality, the number is typically 300 pixels per inch. In a native Photoshop format, every time you double the resolution, the file size gets 4 times bigger. So that's why you need to know the proper width and height and the intended output to get the ideal resolution without a large file size, or the best quality without loss of resolution or JPEG noise based on where you're going to print the image. Talk to your print shop, talk to other designers, find out what is ideal for your workflow.